and welcome to The Hub. I'm your host, Ann Welch. Recent decisions involving the Undergraduate Research Conference and administrative pay raises have been cause for confusion and controversy surrounding finances and spending here at UMass. Here with me today to chat about these issues is Chris Earls from the Student Government Association. Chris, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Ann.
Well, let's just jump right in. So what exactly is the Student Government Association and what's your role in it?
Sure. So the Student Government Association is kind of the group on campus that represents us as students. We work with the administration, with the university system to ensure that students here at UMass Amherst have the best undergraduate experience that they possibly can have. Specifically, I am the Secretary of University Policy and External Affairs. It's a big title, but generally I look at university policies and make sure that they're in line with the students' best interests. And if, for whatever reason, myself or the president feel that they aren't, we meet with administrators to really work towards advancing them in that direction.
Got it. So I know that you and others in the SGA have had personal investment in a recent incident involving the UMass Undergraduate Research Conference. So first, just tell me what happened to that conference.
Sure. So you may recall last semester during finals week, word was sent out to campus students that the Undergraduate Research Conference, which is hosted by the Commonwealth Honors College on campus, and it's a place for not only our students but students from all over the state to present their research for the year, was canceled. And this decision came fairly fast without a lot of explanation, and just that the university couldn't support it anymore. And so myself and others in the SGA met to discuss it. We released a really fast statement saying that we don't find this to be in line with the university's best interests. UMass is a research institution, and it should be proud of that. We should be showcasing our best and rising student researchers, and the Undergraduate Research Conference did that. And so to cancel it seemed kind of not in line with the mission.
And do you recall how UMass explained the cancellation? Did they try to justify it in any way?
I do. So the email that I received, at least, came from Dean Gretchen Grzina. She's the Dean of the Commonwealth Honors College, explaining that the provost has had to make a regretful decision on cutting it, that the cost of the conference simply couldn't be supported, especially in light of the budget cuts that UMass has had to undergo. Departments across campus are doing some belt-tightening, and so that was one of the items that they earmarked for cutting to help save money. At least that's what they claimed. So.
And how do you think it might have been handled differently? Would you have handled it differently if you were in their situation?
So I certainly can't speak for all the details that go on up there, but certainly communication is key. Yep. And what we were seeing with this is there was a lack of communication, or a lack of timely and efficient communication to alert students. Finding out about this at the end of the semester during finals week, students are already preoccupied with their finals.
Sure.
They've got other things on their mind. And additionally, this was an added burden to the students who were preparing their theses and their research projects to present at this conference. A lot of students are required to present their research as part of their capstone experience in CHC. And so to say that we're going to take that opportunity away just a few months beforehand really leaves students in a bind. Now, had the administration perhaps reached out to the Student Government Association or other groups on campus to say, hey, we need to look at different areas for cutting, or perhaps propose this idea earlier on in the semester, that would have allowed students more time to absorb that information, to find an alternative place to present their research.
Sure.
But doing it at the end of the semester when students are taking finals, some had already left for winter vacation. We in the SGA didn't find that to be timely communication at all.
Yeah. And what's your personal involvement with this issue? Were you planning on presenting research? Do you know anybody that was?
Sure. So my personal involvement, I am working on my thesis. It will be completed soon, and I will fortunately be presenting at the Undergraduate Research Conference coming up. That was reinstated. But at the time, yes, I was very, I was nervous, as was everyone else that I spoke with, that we were kind of put into this position where we now had to find an alternative route. And in her email communications, Dean Grzina didn't indicate any support from the Honors College being made available to help students find those conferences. Conferences are typically booked months in advance, and so when you're leaving that tiny deadline for students to find a place to present, it's problematic.
So you had mentioned that the conference is reinstated.
Yes.
How was that announced? How did that happen?
Certainly. So shortly after the announcement of the cancellation, the SGA, myself and other members, really got together to push this issue on social media. We penned an open letter that was passed around on social media, received a couple hundred likes and shares, and really getting the word out there and telling students to call the provost's office, to call the chancellor's office, to reach out to the Honors College and say, hey, the undergraduate research conference is really, really important for students at UMass. Please reconsider the decision. In our letter, we communicated our concerns, the value the conference brings to the university and to us as students, and that we really would like to see that decision turned around. And fortunately, you know, within just a matter of hours afterwards, Provost Newman sent an email around saying that the conference was back on. She cited that after her decision to cancel was made, several other state colleges stepped up some funding. But I also found out later on in a meeting that UMass is still providing the lion's share of funding for this conference.
So that really speaks volumes as to how powerful social media is. Is that the first time that the SGA has really utilized social media that largely, or do you typically do things like that?
Sure. So, I mean, we have our SGA Facebook page, which you know, you should go like. But yes, this was one of our larger kind of campaigns, and you know, because it was such a quick turnaround, it was really a grassroots push by all SGA members. You know, I can tell you almost every single SGA member that I spoke with felt really strongly about this, that this was something that we need to have at UMass. And so they were really passionate about, you know, telling other students, telling their constituents to support this issue, to really reach out. In the past, I mean, we've done this before. A few years back, I did it when meal plan prices were changing and I was an area governor in the Honors College. But this is the first time in a while, I think, that we've done something like this.
Yeah. So do you think that the initial cancellation of this conference was an isolated incident, or do you think it's kind of symptomatic of a larger issue here?
Sure. So I think what's isolated is the fact that it got reinstated. We haven't seen that with other programs that have been cut. That's the sad truth, is there are a lot of programs at UMass that are either shrinking in size and capacity, being cut altogether. The administration has, by and large, put a freeze on hiring new staff, and it's because, you know, we just don't have the funds to do it. But the undergraduate research conference is unique in the sense that this is a decision that was turned around and reversed.
So the cancellation of this conference has prompted some extra criticism, as it was announced at the same time as there would be some pay raises for the top UMass officials. Can you explain this situation at all? Do you have any insight?
Certainly. So yes, that's true. The same week this happened, I believe it was in one of the major newspapers out of Boston, there was a headline talking about how there was a number of $20,000 pay raises for top university system officials. And so those are the people in Marty Meehan, the UMass president's office. Frankly, when the university system is giving out pay raises but cutting huge programs, it just looks bad, and that's the impersonation that students were left with. Whether or not you want to get into the details of the budget, you know, well, we had money allocated for pay raises here, or we didn't have money allocated for the conference there, it still looks bad, and it looks as if the university is not prioritizing academics, which I would still argue that in this case, saying that we're going to cut something that we've had on campus since, I believe, 1995, you know, is somewhat true.
Right. So it kind of seems like sometimes the priorities of the administration are a little off. So situations like these often make students feel helpless. What advice would you give to students in situations like this?
Certainly. So I can definitely understand where students feel like decisions are being made up here and they're down here. So the question is, how do you fill in that gap in between?
Sure.
Certainly getting involved with the student government or other organizations on campus is one way, but students at an individual level can certainly make a change and make an impact. You know, any student can reach out to their college, the administration, the chancellor, the provost, through email or any other means, and say, hey, like, I have an issue that I want to raise with you. And you know, at the end of the day, those administrators are here for us. And you know, there's a great opportunity coming up. It's March 7th. It's Public Higher Education Advocacy Day. The SGA, along with a coalition of other student groups on campus, is registering students to go to Boston, along with students from public schools all over Massachusetts, to lobby with our legislators and say, hey, we need more funding for the UMass system. We have great programs here. We're doing great work. Please support us in that.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, the legislature is the one that decides how much money UMass gets and what it can spend its money on. And so it's really, really important to show them that their decisions on budgets affect the individual students.
Sure. Well, the SGA seems like it's doing really great work, so thank you for all of your work. And that's all the time we have left for today. I want to thank my guest, Chris Earls, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And as students, it is important for us to understand the process behind decisions made at our university. However, if you take issue with these decisions, get involved and make your voice heard. Thanks for watching, and be sure to tune in next time here at The Hub.